Good evening. I'm Abigail Avery, and I would just like to take a few minutes of your time to discuss something that is pretty taboo. When you think about EMS, which is Emergency Medical Services, you think about your ambulance drivers, the people that happen to make it to the scene of a wreck magically. But if you think about the person behind that uniform, things get pretty difficult. Now, EMS, the job can be great. Every day there's a different call, a different situation, a different outcome. So in that way, the job is pretty cool. You never get bored. But in the other way, the job's extremely difficult. It's actually one of the most dangerous jobs out there. There was a study done by Brian McGuire. He collected 5 years of data from 2003 to 2007 from the U.S. Department of Labor, and he found that 21,749 reported cases of injury in workman's comp. 21,690 of those cases were non-fatal injuries or illnesses that required medical leave. During the study, 59 reported fatalities, and of those, 86% were related to transportation deaths, and 5 are related to assault or violent crimes. That makes me scared because that study was done in 2007. I'd hate to see what the statistics are now. See, in EMS, we don't have protective gear. We don't have bulletproof vests, guns, tasers, or anything like that. Or firemen, we don't have fireproof suits. With EMS, it's just us and our medical bag. So, for example, let's say we get called to a home for a chest pain. Let's say we get to the call and the person wants to hurt us. Well, we then have to ask for police to be dispatched, and that could take minutes for someone to get there. They're vital minutes that we need and that we won't have. Those are vital minutes that could cost a life. Besides the physical stress and danger to the job, there also is clearly a ton of emotional stress involved in that. I mean, there's bad days, there's bad calls. We get called to, fatal car accidents. We're holding a patient's hand after a near fatal accident. And after a while, that can cause some major issues. Now, they're not all bad calls. I mean, sometimes we're delivering beautiful babies and we're holding someone's hand as they realize that they actually have a life worth living for. And there are resources out there to help us cope with the things that we see, hear, taste, and smell. Because let's be real, we've had it all. So in Colorado, the House of Public Health Care and Human Services Committee approved a bill. It's a self-financed peer-to-peer and professional assistance to help EMS personnel deal with the stresses of our job. The bill stated, sometimes the toll and exposure to traumatic events in the position are frequently led to depression, aggressive behaviors, substance abuse, and even suicide. This system can really help EMTs and paramedics with these issues. The effects that our jobs have had on our minds and bodies have been overlooked for a very long time. Locally, Gaston College has a peer group for public safety personnel that's once a month for people to come and cope with the things and talk about the calls that are extremely rough. Agencies are really now taking the first step in resolving those issues. So there's something called the Critical Incident Stress Debrief. The CISD is something that agencies do after a critical call to debrief with personnel on the call about what happened, what went wrong, what went right, and what could have gone better for the next time. This also gives the personnel time to talk it out and cope with it before we go home to our families and deal with it there. The burnout rate for EMS is incredibly high, as I'm sure you can understand. If you combine all the resources available, there's a great way to prevent burnout rates and mental health issues. Because let's be real, people are always going to need ambulances. And EMS is clearly great job security. But if you aren't in public safety, it's extremely hard to understand what we go through. And we have to make sure that we're physically and mentally healthy to continue to serve our community. Start by remembering that EMTs and your paramedics are not just ambulance drivers, and you never know when the next time you'll have to see us is.